Life in the big city. Here, John. Cadrona Gold. Huh?
In the glistening cold world of the ski industry, competition for tourist dollars runs hot. Globally, it's a billion-dollar business. But there's continuous pressure to provide bigger and better services for skiers. What happens when one ski field needs to expand to meet tourist demand, but has to ask its nearest competitor for permission? I'm Warwick Burke. The future of any company depends on its ability to adapt to changing market conditions. In the ski industry, names like Aspen and its competitor Vail are a familiar reminder that whole towns flourish at the foot of a good slope. By the early 60s, Aspen had been a prospering ski village for decades. So when the Vail company decided to build its village, complete with hotels and restaurants, what would have happened if their competitors in Aspen had held the power to stop them? Would it draw business away, or would it double the number of paying customers? A similar drama has been played out here in New Zealand, where cheaper air travel has brought the promise of summer skiing for ever-increasing numbers of wealthy overseas tourists. What happens when ski field partners, an oil man from Texas and a high country sheep farmer, team up to convince their own competition that it's no threat to build a ski village at the foot of Mount Cadrona?
This is a South Pacific island in August. While most Americans enjoy their summertime, these snowbirds have flown south of the equator for the skiing. In the southern Alps of New Zealand, Cadrona Ski Field is partly bankrolled with dollars from Houston. Every northern summer, thousands of skiers travel south to the slopes of South America and Australasia. These tourists in a hurry are often wealthy and single-minded. Their passion is their sport, and they spend freely on a good slope. In investment terms, this is a fast market, but a dangerous one. Later, beneath the slopes, there's après-ski. Add to this travel and accommodation, and a ski field becomes a place to play and to spend through day and night.
And who went home with news? Well, I'd like to know all the details.
It's that potential for 24-hour profit which has persuaded both New Zealand and American investors to risk hundreds of millions of dollars to build a South Pacific ski resort.
The most they gain in the morning, it's always the same. Small towns open lanes, the most they gain in the morning.
In the Cadrona Valley, near the southern Alps of New Zealand, a sheep rancher has turned his pasture into a playground. John Lee's family scratched out a hard existence here for 60 years. Now, the Kiwi shearer has joined forces with an oilman from Texas. Between them, they hope to create at Cadrona the best ski resort south of the equator. In Texas, thousands of miles away, Cadrona's Houston partner is oil trader Bill Duease. An avid skier, Duease is investing Houston dollars in a winter resort half a world away.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
It's a business venture which gives them a break from the hustle of the spot oil market.
Did we schedule some barrels for October?
Sure did, about 9,000. Hello, Tom, how you doing? Bill Duease. How's your September supply look for A&S at Valdez? How about 100,000 barrels? You got a deal. How about we'll schedule 100,000 barrels to you at Valdez on your ship of your nomination. Contract's coming.
To reach the Gold Rush pub at Cadrona, Duease must fly south for a day and a half. He's here to prepare a major ski field expansion. Bill Duease first came here to ski. Now, Bill and his wife Chris are partners in the Lee family ski field.
Montana wine. I thought there was a lie here. This is state where I'm from. Here. It's like buying Arizona wine. There's no grapes in Montana.
To John Lee, deep snow on his mountain range was once a business liability. But keen skiers like his wife Mary and ski field developer Peter Yeoman helped him to turn those snowdrifts to profit. Cadrona's lawyer is Alan McAllister. Over the next 6 months, he will guide his friends and clients through the red tape between the dream and the reality. Bill Duease will face hard facts, opposition, and compromise. What all these people have in common is John Lee's family valley and its peak, Mount Cadrona. In summer, wild horses graze here, and somewhere, spread over nearly 20,000 acres, are John Lee's 5,000 head of sheep. The land is hard and unprofitable, especially up the mountain.
That is gorgeous. That's a great ski site.
Since Bill was here last, though, John Lee has installed New Zealand's biggest ski lift.
Now you can really see everything, can't you? I don't think there's many in the States that match this. You can ski everywhere. There's no trees, nothing. This is dynamite.
The money was raised by floating the Cadrona ski field on the New Zealand Stock
And the way it
Exchange.
is that the experienced skier is going to go off down that side, while the intermediate's going to go off this side, and the terrain just divides neatly to one side of the basin.
And the lift never gets in the way.
That's right.
Excellent line. Excellent. Well protected from the wind. I'm impressed.
But just over the back of the mountain lies the opposition. Queenstown is New Zealand's premier tourist resort. Business is booming, competition unwelcome. Now, Bill and John must ask Queenstown's council for permission to expand.
But there'd
So
be
it's gotta
people
be
who
some
wouldn't be
resistance.
coming here in the first place.
Can you convince the council of
You
that?
bet you.
We can bring figures.
Prove it to them. 7 ways come sunny and backwards. And then they're going to bring people here that wouldn't have come in the third place. That's the key issue.
If you can prove that,
You bet.
you're on good ground.
You bet.
Well, that figure from the Australian scene is...
In his Queenstown offices, lawyer Alan McAllister listens to his client's ambitious plans. He knows that to expand their Cadrona ski field, John and Bill must first win the blessing of the local county council at a planning meeting in 4 months' time.
You've got to now put this into a glossy package, cover all the points that we've discussed already, and sell it to the committee so that
They're
they
gonna
say,
put the
"Yes,
pieces-"
That is what we want, because we've really got to get them to do a complete U-turn. Well, I see it as pulling together a concept. You know, what is this development going to be? That's number one.
That's internal to us.
Right, that, you guys have got to.
It's got to be done.
conclusion
No
about
problem.
that.
Good stuff.
The second thing I feel is that you've got to make a decision on the scope of the application. Is it in fact going to be stage one of an enormous development?
That's
or is it
strategy.
just going to
That's
be?
what comes into you.
Right.
That's-
Is it just going to be a small development?
When we sit down and say, this is the final result that's going to fit the whole valley, that's going to be the best project for the whole valley and the area, Queenstown, Wanaka, Arrowtown, Cromwell, all of them. We get all that in our mind settled.
Yes.
Then we say, okay, how do we get here,
Right. And
Alan?
then, right.
How do we get here, Alan?
This road we're travelling through, the Crown Range Highway, is the highest main highway in the country.
Another obstacle to the partners' plans is the hill above them.
A route that was utilised extensively by the early miners as they made their way from Queenstown through the Cadrona Valley and towards Wanaka.
Nature has dealt the ski field a bad card in the form of the Crown Mountain Range. The dirt road from the tourist resort and airport at Queenstown over to Cadrona in the next valley is an adventure first time up. But grinding over here twice a day soon loses its charm for skiers.
Nowadays, though, attempts are made to keep it open right through this period for ski traffic towards Cadrona and Wanaka.
If it's to prosper, Cadrona needs a ski village with hotel beds right at the foot of the slopes. And Bill Duease knows just where he wants it.
We got the spot.
You've got the spot here
You
for it.
bet you. It's a jewel, too.
And we've got this partial conflict of sewerage and gondola.
This time, the whole planning team meets at the Cadrona pub to decide where to put the village and the hotels.
Seems the main highway for the passing summer traffic. I mean,
And it
signboards.
also-
At this stage, they plan a $100 million ski resort, complete with gondola.
Where you can put the roads, the sections, the hotels. the
Many
motels.
ski fields lose money when they fail to find the right mix between ski capacity and beds. But here, Cadrona's planning consultant, Peter Yeoman, urges caution. The partners' building program may appear too ambitious to a small county council.
I think we've got to put in perspective. You're thinking of hotels. That could be 5 or 10 years away.
It's down the road.
It's down the road.
It's a second and third
field,
phase.
yeah.
It's not initial. You can't justify it. The numbers aren't there. The count's not there.
But when Peter does his original plan, it's got to have all those components in it, so we don't put the caravan park where you want to put the hotel, or put your staff village where you want to put the hotel in about 8 years' time.
We really want you to look at it hard and tell us critically what's good about it, what's bad about it, how it can be improved.
I've got one worry with this, that we might be trying to go too far, too fast.
McAllister is concerned that the whole project may be too much for the Queenstown politicians to swallow in one gulp. And Peter Yeoman is anxious to condense the partners' dreams into a concrete planning document.
Okay, Bill, could I just get from you your philosophy on the project, the things that you want to build into it and the things that you don't want to build into it, so I can be clear in that regard?
That's easy. We don't want to build any golf courses. We don't want any tennis courts. We don't want any swimming pools. You can get those a dime a dozen pretty well in any resort anywhere in the country and the United States for that matter. Basically, we want to use what Mother Nature gave us. We want to allow the people to use what this is in this valley. You can ski, you can fish on the same day.
In New Zealand, central government is promoting projects like Cadrona, but Yeoman knows the council may be less eager.
We've got to educate the local government people the need to think further ahead. We are thinking ahead as a team. We've got to bring them with us, and it's marrying up us and the central government philosophies with local government constraints. I think we can do it.
Good.
4 months later, in mid-August, Cadrona's planning application is still not ready for the council hearing, just a few days away. The winter snows have arrived, but with them only a trickle of tourists. The season is off to a slow start, and that's bad news. On the stock market, Cadrona shareholders are watching for two signals: a profitable ski season, plus planning approval for the future. But so far, cash flow is slow, and the weather is bleak. Cadrona's share price hovers just below par. Local skiers and a few tourists will always come here, but only a calculated expansion will attract skiers from America, Japan, and Europe. To become an international success, Cadrona must do a lot better than this. Without a ski village in the valley below and a gondola to lift the skiers up the mountain, this field, like so many others, will be incapable of expanding beyond the limits set by its parking lot. Bill Duease leaves Houston once more to give evidence to the council's planning committee.
This meeting is probably the most important meeting I've ever attended because if they allow us to have the scheme change, then we can go forward. If they do not allow us to have the scheme change, we're dead in the water. We have to wait 5 years until they develop a new scheme change. And in essence, the village will never get done. I'm more scared to death because we have our whole future is in the hands of some people who have absolutely no idea what's going on.
As the oilman flies south, Cadrona's submissions to the council are running so late that Duease will hear them for the first time as they're being presented.
John, how you doing?
Great, Bill. Terrific. How are
Good
you?
to see you.
John, good to see you.
Terrific.
At this stage, both John and Bill reckon their chances of success are no better than 50-50. John has heard that the council's own town planner is dead against their application. It's also common knowledge that the local business community sees Cadrona as a threat to its own profits.
But beautiful here, couldn't beat it. This is better than Houston weather.
On the mountain above, better conditions bring a sudden surge of newcomers. These are the people who, if they like what they see this time, may return with their families a few years from now.
2 basins away, it's a whole basin there and a whole nother basin over there. It's just like a whole separate ski field over the side.
But market research shows that skiers are relentless in their expectation of better facilities every year.
Keen to go, Brent?
I'm keen to go.
Good, righto, let's go.
Each season, Cadrona has added new features: a wider road, a bigger car park, a new snack bar. This year, the company installed a multi-million-dollar quad chairlift, their biggest ever. But now, only a few weeks into winter, even the big lift is filling up. Already, 10,000 skiers a day are visiting the Southern Lakes District of New Zealand with its 4 major ski fields. However, none of those fields have developed their own resort villages. So, if Cadrona can build its resort first, and if the American experience repeats itself here, this field may steal a clear lead on the local competition. That's if the locals will let them. Over the hill in Queenstown, the idea of an expanded, successful Cadrona is not necessarily a welcome one. Queenstown has just been through a tourist boom which slackened. The business community here is nervous. Some fear that Cadrona would take the tourists away, rather than generate its own flow of new visitors. Over the lake, there's another uncertainty. A $600 million destination resort is being planned on the far shore at Walter Peak. Is there still room for Cadrona as well?
$1 million this year.
Peter Yeoman has just flown in with his finished submissions. John Lee knows their contents, but Bill Duease is discovering that the big hotels, the gondola, the condos must all wait until they have at least 1 foot in the council's door.
Not take away. Every time we build a house here, it's going to add a house and a half in Wanaka.
That's right.
Every
The
time you
multipliers,
hire
yeah.
one person here, you're going to employ 5 down there. Now, their values are going to go up, not down. We're not competing with them. We're supporting them. We're giving them more reason to be there. Not the other way around. And it's proven that. We've got history to show it, time and time again. Have you ever heard of Snowmass? They haven't, but they've all heard of Aspen. But Aspen is...
Parking ticket from Snowmass, yes, I've heard of it.
I've got a parking ticket from Queenstown, so we're even. And I owe $20. I'll give them today on that. So, make a long story short, Aspen is there today because of Snowmass. But you don't hear Snowmass.
The thing is, though, the council's used to hard sells, and whether you like it or not, it's local fares we've got to just cover. You know,
So what
no
do we
matter, no matter how much you say, they're used to people throwing up all these schemes at them. And whether you say history's repeating itself. For those guys, it's not going to be very real.
How do we make it real?
It's just Bill Duease saying it. You may be another con man.
I think that
That's the problem we've got.
That's fine.
It's a problem we've got.
Well, how do we overcome that?
Now, the council have got to reflect on the information that we put forward, the advisor puts forward, and that I'm alluding to as coming out of New Zealand government policy in terms of the growth of tourism.
Right, but
So
how
we
do
sit
we
back and reflect.
actually open their eyes to let them know that this development will in fact greatly improve their own situation? In fact, not on just hearsay or talking, but us coming down and convincing them. Isn't that the question you have?
Well, that's really where probably I come into more than anyone else. We've got to touch the hearts as well as the minds.
And so the council hearing begins. The town planner sits with his committee chairman. There's been a whisper or two that some of the committee members are in favor of the Cadrona scheme. But in reality, the ski field team have no idea what the outcome will be here today.
The promoting company believes that its evidence will justify very fully its opinion that the initiation of a scheme change is appropriate, and it is my submission that this is indeed the case.
Alan McAllister begins with legal argument, asking the council to change their district scheme. This would permit a staff village, shops, and a small subdivision. But with the land redesignated, all of Cadrona's future plans may become possible. The council, in turn, will retain the right to veto each new stage of development. It's a strategic compromise, designed to allow the council to retain control and to take it slowly. Then, Peter Yeoman gives the bulk of his planning proposals, along with figures on the expansion of tourism in the region.
The annual number of total tourists could be reaching 1.3 to 1.5 million annually. I would invite the committee members to look back over the past 10 years and compare the development that has occurred in Queenstown and Wanaka area in that time, and then look forward for the next 10 years and question, do we continue the same range of opportunities or do we provide more? I mean, this is the Bible of the industry. for marketing into North America.
Yes, I understand the approach to the industry. No argument with that. What I'm saying to you is, what's central government doing about it?
Well, central government is the Tourism Publicity Department, which has an annual budget vote for allocation and promotion of tourism. They then take that total cake up and divide it between the regions. And North America's one has been identified to have an accelerating budget.
I see that question because you're obviously evading it.
Well, with respect, I'm not evading. If I'm evading, please draw to my attention. If you're looking for a declaration by the government, I'm not aware there isn't one. The department has a commitment to this Bible.
The department has, yes, but government doesn't. That's the thing that worries me.
Well, I was with the Minister of Tourism on Sunday, and I had nothing to lead me to believe that he isn't personally fully behind it through his department.
The Minister of Tourism is very strongly promoting tourism, but that's not answering the question as to what government policy is on tourism.
The Advisory Council to the Minister of Tourism. This is sent through, and it has his seal of endorsement, and therefore I see no reason why it can't be accepted as government policy.
One further point, whether we should, as local authorities in New Zealand, be slavishly following the overseas example, or whether we should be doing our own thing.
There's a danger, and I give the comparison, we did our own thing in selling mutton out of this country for a long time. Someone suddenly decided they might like to cut it differently and chill it, but you go out and see what the market wants, not force down the throats what you have. And that is something tourism has learned over the past 5 years, that we can't be complacent and say, we've got a lovely country, the tourists will pour in here, take your money, goodbye, thank you very much. We've had to go out and research the market, see what the tourist wants, see what we don't have here, and create it.
It's taken half a dozen witnesses and several hours to put the case for Cadrona. Even a local mayor has voiced his approval for the scheme, along with landscapers and engineers. One witness remains, the Houston entrepreneur who came here to ski and wound up putting his money on a local mountain.
As a foundation investor in Cadrona ski area, I provided extensive risk capital at a time when no other investor could be found in New Zealand. I believe correctly that the ski field would become one of the most popular in New Zealand. It has. As I believed in the ski field, so I do also in the Alpine Village concept. As a professional customer, I have not and will not patronize a combination any distance from the ski field. I wouldn't even consider it. The people for whom I have acted think the same way. They are not short on money, but are short on time, and will simply not travel long distance to ski.
You said you need a village close by. Well, you realised it was good development, but, you know, with no village handy.
Well, frankly, we had a 10-year plan, and in hopes that we could develop a village. Our 10-year plan we accomplished in 5 years. And so we've outdone ourselves. Our demand has picked up far faster than we anticipated. And so, knowing that, we had a plan and vision 10 years down the road, possibly developing a village to attract these type of skiers. Obviously, at the time in 1980 when I got involved, tourism was not a big issue in this country. Farming was, but tourism wasn't. And so at that time, yes, I did invest in it because first, I skied the other areas, checked out probably the world's greatest ski area expert, Reinhold Zarner. He said the same thing. It's just the best ski area south of the equator.
I'm going to reserve this decision. We've got a lot of reading to do, and we'll let you know as soon as we possibly can. Thank you for your attend and your presentation. Thank you very much.
It's all over, but there's no immediate result.
Turn right at me. Okay, turn right at me. Turn right at me. All right, in together. Hold him in. Hold him in. Good, good. Straight at me. A little bit faster now. Don't worry about speed. That's good.
As they wait for news, the American teaches the Kiwi to ski. Mary Lee is a keen skier, but her husband, the ski field owner, has always been too busy to learn.
Oh, watch out! Oh, no!
Both partners are playing off their tension. A few minutes ago, John heard that his stockbroker's firm has collapsed, taking with him $250,000 of Lee family money, and Cadrona's share price has dropped 20%. Does the share market know something they don't?
Beer on me! I'm drinking! I need a beer!
Later, in the valley, the partners throw a barnyard party for the ski field staff. and a letter arrives from the council.
Well, open the envelope, please. And the winner is?
The winner is?
Dear sirs, we have been advised by the Lakes Queenstown Wakatipu Combined Planning Committee that it has been resolved that its planning consultant prepare a draft scheme.
The council's decision isn't all they asked for, but it's a lot better than a straight no.
Type, location,
Weeks later, in Houston, Bill Duease is buttonholing potential investors at an oil convention. He's promoting an unusual development that's mixed with a lure of romance in a small country he's become very attached to.
That's a big jade area, too. They have a lot of jade down there. We call it greenstone. They've made a ruling that says, yes, they will give us a zoning, subject to conditions, which they will give us the conditions. We haven't seen the conditions yet.
At long last, Cadrona has come far enough for Bill Duease to begin selling the project to potential backers. It's been a long haul.
We're looking for a destination ski area, something that would draw someone to come in from Auckland, long way off, Sydney, Melbourne, Japan, Hong Kong, or Los Angeles.
That's where you're going to draw from.
We're going to draw from the big boys because you can't. Where are you going to ski in August? We're sitting between the two best tourist areas south of the equator, and we're right in the middle. See Cadrona, right there.
How long do you think it'll take you to develop overall your entire concept?
We're looking 10 years, and we're looking for a total investment somewhere in the neighborhood between 100 and 250 million New Zealand, which is equivalent to 100 million U.S.